what's up, dudes? Real quick, this channel is supported by ToneJunkieStore.com. Check us out for all your modeling, capture, and IR needs. We have a huge special during the month of August. All everything packs are $60, including the NAMM A2 everything pack. So if you're on one of those units that just adopted NAMM A2, come check out ToneJunkieStore.com. Hey, what's up, dudes? Hey, you've seen a million videos on NAMM A2. Everybody's talking about it. Everyone's saying, yeah, you better watch out. Everybody better adopt NAMM A2. You better hurry up. You've seen it on this channel. I'm not going to lie. You've seen it on this channel. There is something of a NAMM revolution going on, I would say. I see it in the comments. I see it in the views. I see it in my sales. It is taking off like a rocket ship. But here's my question. Should anyone really be worried? Is this really bad news or something for ToneX, for Line 6 and Proxy and Stadium? For Quad Cortex, do they have anything to worry about? Kemper, do they have anything to worry about? I'm going to give you kind of my perspective on this. While I do think that, Steve and Tone 3000 in developing NAMM A2 have really taken what was a competitive advantage that was very expensive, very difficult to sort of obtain for a lot of these units, and made it just a feature, a feature that can be kicked out with a firmware to a 2, 3, 4-year-old unit, and a cheap one at that. Although that is all true, I actually don't think ToneX, Line 6, IK, Line 6, Neural DSP, Kemper, I really actually don't think these guys are that worried. And I don't know that they need to be. Let me explain. I think I'm like the first interview with Steve Atkinson. If you look back on this channel, you'll see this video. And it's like the first interview with Steve Atkinson. I heard this guy had created NAMM. People were asking me about it. And so I met him at NAMM. I met the creator of NAMM at NAMM and convinced him to come back to my Airbnb with me. Luckily I had I bought him tacos first, but this sounds strange. I'm going to move on. Anyway, we did this interview, and basically, NAMM was difficult to use, but NAMM was accurate. It was the most accurate. And one of the things I see people say right now is, oh, but it's the most accurate. Everyone's just going to go to NAMM. It's the most accurate. Well, NAMM A1 has been the most accurate, and even though there were not a lot of options to take it with you, there were options. The Dimehead player has played NAMM for a long time, NAMM A1s. The Anagram, before they did Guitar Essentials, you could have bought those, and they still played NAMM. They didn't have guitar effects, but you could have used them, and people did. People do. There were some other ones that were out there. A lot of people were using iPads, computers. They were doing all sorts of stuff. It wasn't impossible, but yet adoption was still kind of sluggish and slow, if you ask me. And when I say adoption, yes, there is huge traffic on Tone 3000. Yes, there is huge traffic on forums and Discord and Facebook groups. But when you go into those places and you really start speaking to the people, you quickly recognize a large portion of this community is using NAMM as a plugin only. And I'm not putting anyone down. I'm just making an observation that NAMM has been something that if you use it as a plugin for recording, it's been equal or better than all sorts of other stuff, because it's very easy in your DAW to just add another plugin. Then you can get effects out of whatever you can get. You don't need things to be all contained in one. I think that what I notice in the community is that even though a lot of people think that NAMM is the most accurate, therefore it's gonna just trump everybody else or something, I think we're forgetting something, and that's this. People don't buy technology, they buy products. That's why Apple won over BlackBerry. That's why Apple got adopted by the masses. The iPhone was quite expensive compared to Blackberries, and they had all this functionality. They had internet, they had email, they had all this stuff. But when Apple came out with the iPhone, it was just better in every way. Like people didn't want a mini keyboard. They didn't want this, that. BlackBerry stuck around for a while, but you can't really buy a BlackBerry now, can you? The iPhone was just such a better product. It took, I had phones that had email and cameras and all that stuff before, made by Nokia and everything. The iPhone was just a better product. And I think people really do forget. It's not just about technology. It's really about the product. You look at something like Tone-X 1. This is such an amazing product. The Tone-X is an amazing product, but the Tone-X 1 is, it and the HX Stomp might be the two greatest guitar products ever released. I mean, maybe you could say the Line 6 Pod because it's like historic and revolutionary, but you take an HX Stomp, everything it gives you, you can't tell me there's another pedal in the world that gives you that versatility out of one pedal, is easy to set up, has amp sim and everything. When you see guys with pedals, with pedal boards, everything's $2,000 plus on their pedal board. They'll often have an HX Stomp because it's just there are so many good sounding mods and tremolos. Are they the best in the world? Probably not, but you just get so much. It's easy to use. It's an amazing utility pedal on your board. The Tone-X 1 is the same way. It's at a price point where it's almost like you're dumb not to buy this. It's simple. It has a couple little knobs on it, and it kind of just, even though they added effects to it, and the effects are quite good. The delays and reverbs are all very, I mean, I would call that essential. They have the essential effects. But what it offers is like, do you want captures of amps? Here it is. And it's like $179. It's so absurdly cheap and small. It's almost like it's easier to try it than to wonder if you should try it. It's like a low price. It's you get a great piece of software with it that you can use on your computer then, and you get access to this whole ecosystem. It's the distribution is great, and you also there's other advantages too to going with, not the sort of open source NAMM thing that has solutions like Tone 3000 thing. But when you think of Tone-X, they might make the best FR cabinet on the market right now. I am a fan of either the Tone-X cab or the Kemper cab, but the Kemper, you need to use it with a Kemper because it has a calibration setting that actually changes that Celestion speaker into the accurate response. The Tone-X has this incredible mic and flat mic and live sort of setting that really makes you feel like you're cranking an amp up in the room when you put it on the live setting or on the mic setting. And on the live setting, it's flat. So, you step into a Tone-X ecosystem, you're opening yourself up to, hey, I've got the plug, I've got the bigger Tone-X, I've got the software, I've got the smaller Tone-X, I've got the cabinet, and potentially you also have whatever else they go on and invent in the future. I've been quite outspoken on this channel of what the kinds of stuff I think Tone-X is working on, and even the types of things I think they can do with their technologies. A couple videos ago, we were talking about what can a company like Tone-X or QC do to push capture tech and amp capture simulation forward, but even ahead of NAMM A2. And there were all sorts of things. There were all sorts of things like modeled tone stacks, speaker, combining impulse responses, in a way where there's like maybe more dynamic speaker response. We talk about stitching, like kind of like super clones, like stitching captures together. So maybe a capture on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now you start to get a working model. Other people have done this sort of thing, but it's not in the hands of everybody like it could be if Tone-X did it. And so I think Tone-X is a really good example of this. Was Tone-X first to the market with capture tech? No, they were actually quite late to the market. Was Tone-X first to the market with affordable small pedals that did modeling or something, or capture modeling? No, those existed, but they just made a better product. I mean, they just made a better product, right? And a lot of people have complained about the software, but now they just made the software better. QC is another one where I think you look at QC, and I got to ask myself this: has any device that plays NAMM A2 cost Neural DSP a QC sale? I almost would say it's very possible that no. Not one QC sale has been lost because of NAM A2. And here's why. A buyer who's looking for a quad cortex at $1,600 with the quad cortex has amazing effects. The reverb update they did is incredible. Realistically, are they going to buy this unit right here? This Headrush Flex. Look, Headrush sent me this unit. I did another video on it. This is not a paid video for them or something. They haven't given me any money. They did give me this unit to do a video. I marked that video paid promotion. I'm not marking this one paid promotion because I'm giving you honest opinion like I did in that last one, but I didn't say this in the last one. You got to recognize there's a buyer who's going to buy the $1,600 quad cortex who is never going to consider this. Why? Well, one, it's a Headrush. They don't play Headrush. They play quad cortex and fractal only, right? Like they view it as that's like below line 6 and sort of the non-professional status, the more hobbyist status, the Guitar Center floor status, right? I play things you can only find on the internet that are very expensive. That the quad cortex is obviously a beautiful unit. It's $1,600. It makes no apologies. It has amazing functionality inside. It has the V2 QC capture tech, which is very, very good. People might say, oh, hey, NAM's better than that. Why wouldn't you go after the best thing? I'll tell you, man, when I pull out a quad cortex and I put on those reverbs and I put on those delays, I've been playing quad cortex as my number one thing for months. I am happy as a clam. Like I am 100% satisfied. Have I been playing NAM and stuff here, making those NAM videos? Yes, I'm pumped up about NAM. But honestly, my quad cortex is so dialed in. I don't believe I'm going to get any benefit from going to another platform live. No one can hear it. All my sounds are in there. It's got everything. I don't think the type of person who's looking to spend $2,000 or $1,700, whatever quad cortex is today. I think it's $1,799. It used to be $1,699. I don't think that person is really going to go consider the Moore unit that plays NAM, or I don't think they're going to go consider, in a lot of ways, I don't think the Tonex 1 guy who has a bunch of nice stuff on the pedal board, if he wants stereo Tonex 1s, like 2 Tonex 1s, I don't think he's going to go buy, the little Valton unit, the GP5. I just don't think so. I think realistically, what NAM A2 is doing is bringing capture tech, the availability of capture tech, to a much larger mass of people who are in a price range below the more premium stuff. And so I think that's revolutionary in itself. But should these guys be worried? Should people like Tonex, Neural DSP, Line 6, should they be worried? I just don't think anyone is saying, hey, I'm about to buy a Stadium XL for like $2,000. Oh, but instead, I'm gonna actually switch it out and just go get the Ampero stage. I don't think that's happening. NAM is revolutionary, and we're having a NAM revolution, but at the same time, I don't think anyone goes out of business.